Hey, good morning. So I want to share a couple of tips for writing songs, better songs faster, at least from my perspective, some things that I've learned over the years and recently, actually. It's quite interesting. So, I'm in this, I'm a bit of an insomniac. I go to bed at like 9 p.m. I wake up at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and that's pretty regular for me. And I'm half asleep most of the time. And I try to squeeze in a nap in the morning, which should be about right now because it's like 5 a.m. But long story short, so 1 a.m. this morning, I get up and I make some coffee and I sit in this chair with my guitar and I just start kind of like working on stuff, right? Just kind of just zoned out, just playing. And I had this song in my back pocket that I've been working on probably for like the last 2 years. And the song I thought was finished wasn't a good song. Not many of them are, but this song was like I thought it was done. But it's one of these songs where I kind of recorded it in front of my iPad, kind of like this, so it wasn't like produced in Logic or something. And I thought, I want to record that song because there's just so many parts that I hear that I just want to add to that song. And so I have this whiteboard that's up against the wall. In this apartment, I don't have anything on the walls. So I got this whiteboard up against the wall. It's right here. And I sit in this chair and I'm just kind of like playing this thing at like 1 in the morning and I'm reading the lyrics. This song is about kind of like doing a bunch of inner work and, trying to fix yourself, so you can be better in life, right? And it's like a 7-minute song. It's like ridiculous. And I thought I thought I had it dialed in. And I'm like, this is just a big, long, kind of stupid song. Uh, and and so I'm sitting here playing it. I'm like, do I really want to record this thing? For one, I'm not very good at recording. I'm not very good at playing my guitar. I'm not very good at singing either. But I have just enough to be able to like express myself, and that's something I've accepted. And like Scott Adams, I don't know if you know who Scott Adams is. He writes the comic Dilbert. He wrote a book that talks about just if you're 80% at everything you do, you might have just enough to put something together that people might enjoy. And I've took that to heart, and I just kind of realized I'm never going to be like perfect at everything. So fuck it, just do the best you can. Try to express yourself. Anyway, so I'm thinking about this song, and I'm like, there's no way I'll be able to actually record this 7-minute song and do it any justice. In fact, I don't even really like the song because it kind of falls apart near the end. And so I thought to myself, I'm like, what could I have done better when I originally wrote this song? And the very first thing that came to mind, and this is like the new rule for me, and I know this kind of sounds stupid and you're probably going to say, duh, right? Is to not stop until you have a structure that you can agree with, right? So the song that I was thinking about recording was like a verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, right? Like that's a lot. And it showed up as like a 7-minute song. And I was like, that's just too much, right? A little tangent here. So right now it's middle of June. What is it? June? Oh, early June, first week of June. And my 24-year anniversary with my wife, whom I am separated from, is next month. And it just so happens too that I have to move out of this apartment pretty soon because it's been almost a year, right? And so I was thinking because my wife and I, we still have this relationship. We still love each other. We still send text messages to each other. We just don't live with each other. And it's not that we don't get along. It's just that we don't have kind of that relationship that I think we could have. It's just we probably just got complacent with each other. We both went our kind of separate ways, doing our own things, our own hobbies, and all these other things. So before you know it, we're just roommates. And I was like, I don't like that. I don't need another roommate. I'm an introvert. I love sitting in my apartment by myself, playing music, being with myself, thinking about things. This is one of those things. And I'm like, and she kind of felt the same way. So the whole relationship kind of like got stale and stagnant, and we just kind of decided to separate and give yourself some time. So long story short, this whole song, when I was thinking about that last night, this relationship and our anniversary coming up, and I have to move out and so forth. And I'm like, I was thinking about moving to Las Vegas. I live in Arizona. Thought about moving to Las Vegas, and then she kind of expressed her sadness. She's like, I really don't want you to move. And so I'm like, okay, what if there's an opportunity or a chance to kind of give it one more shot, at least try, as opposed to just giving up and, moving on, and so last night about 1 a.m., I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about probably what the muse is telling me to write versus what I was forcing myself to write. And I took that to heart, and I just kind of started pouring my thoughts and feelings out. And before you know it, I took that song had in my back pocket for the last couple of years, that whole Inner Work song, and I just basically threw it out the window, kept the same, chords and every structure and so forth, and rewrote the song. And I knowing what I know now, I decided that, like, okay, I'm not going to move forward with recording anything until I really lock in that structure, because I don't know about you. I like to rush things, because when I hear like a guitar part and I lay something over the top of it, I start hearing all these other layers. And I'll spend my time, and again, I'm no good at logic at all, but I'll spend hours in there just layering like 4 bars or 8 bars of stuff. And that makes it really hard to actually produce a song. Like, for me personally, a lot of people probably do it that way and it just works fine for them. But I get caught with, like, I'm like, all right, I got this really cool part that's got like 10 tracks on it, but I got the rest of the song to write, and now I got to write it around this thing. Boy, that's a conundrum. That's a hard thing for me to do. So what I do now is I try to keep it as minimalist as possible, as bare bones as possible, and just dial in the structure of what I'm playing. Like, get the verse, chorus, bridge, chorus thing. Like, if that's what you're going to do, or if it's going to be a verse, hook type thing, whatever that structure is, it's going to, be your song. Make sure you lay that foundation down and that concrete is poured and it's hard as a rock before you start building a house on top of it. That's like the one thing I could say right now that is critical, because you can get down the road and almost done with a song and find out there's a screw up somewhere, and you have all these tracks floating around and you're trying to like make it work, and it just gets frustrating. You might just abandon the project altogether when you've had 100 hours into it. I've done that. I've done that so many times. I have a graveyard of just projects that actually have some really cool shit in it. It's just I got stuck somewhere because I got overwhelmed and I ended up with analysis paralysis, and the whole thing breaks down, and it's not fun, and it sucks. It's just not cool. So the best thing to do is just lay down the foundation, get it locked in, get the structure of the song locked in, and this would include melodies and you can mumble that stuff. You don't necessarily need to have words, in the chorus, mumble that stuff, and then maybe lay down a scratch track so you don't forget how things work. But important to know is, like, the important thing is to have the structure, and then practice it over and over and over and over until it flows from beginning to end. There shouldn't be any hiccups. That's the big thing I learned. It's like, and I still mess this up. So I'll record some stuff, just some scratch tracks, and I will catch like extra bars in there, or maybe it's short, and that's okay. Like, if that's on purpose, that's cool. But when you think you've got it all dialed in, and then you go to record stuff and you realize, like, oh, I totally fucked that part up. That's you rushing it and you not listening. That's you trying to get excited to the point where you want to move to the next step, and what you're doing is you're cutting yourself short. So spend a lot of time stewing in the structure and practicing and getting the flow from beginning to end. And when you can work out the flow and it's just kind of seamless all the way from start to finish, then you can kind of lay that down and start maybe working on some lyrical content as you kind of flow. That way the story starts to form, and then go from there. Get on to this next step and start actually laying down the real tracks. The second thing that's really helped me move forward, really push the needle or move the needle on my craft or my process of writing songs is that I've moved away from typing on my keyboard lyrics and stuff or writing in my journal. And I shifted to a whiteboard that's just it's just propped up against the wall. And I'll sit here in this chair and I will sit here and I'll just play with my guitar. Again, I take this very minimalist approach. When an idea pops up or a lyrical idea pops up, I go write it down on this board. And before you know it, you have all these ideas on this board, and then it's super easy to just get up, erase, and improve, reiterate, and you do this over and over and over, and parts become tighter, and they flow better, and the song just starts to congeal and become something that you can be proud of. Yeah, again, when I start writing, it's like when I'm writing in a journal, I end up in self-editing mode immediately, and I get concerned about writing things down wrong, and then having to waste paper and, scribbles, and then trying to go back and forth between, pages, trying to find the parts and then consolidating the parts on a new page. It's just like you do more work, wasting your time trying to pen this crap all out. And the same thing for the keyboard on my Mac. It's just, my laptop here is I find myself getting caught in tech hell. I'm over here with my guitar in my way and I'm bent over, my back hurts, and I'm trying to write things. And I'm like, this is really slowing me down. So aside from being kind of, an insomniac who gets up at 1 a.m. with half his brain working to, turn off that analytical, logical side on the left side of my brain, I aside from that, get a whiteboard if you don't have one already. And just kind of learn to sit with yourself and the music, and don't worry about the recording process. Focus on the structure of the song and practice it over and over and over until it flows well. And then maybe lay down the guitar part on your digital audio workstation. And then once you're happy with the structure, and your mumbling lyrics and chorusy parts and stuff like that over the top, and it all seems to be like going well, and you're like, okay, I think this will be good. Only then should you consider moving to the next step, I think. That seems to be what's working for me because, I get caught up in a lot of hiccups, and it's really easy to give up on a project simply because you get overwhelmed or it's just not working the way you want it to work. And, the fun thing about like a craft, like songwriting and a lot of things in life is somebody can teach you something, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. You can take those tidbits, you can take some of the experience that they have and apply those to your process, but you have to develop your own process. And what works for somebody might not work for you. In fact, that's kind of like the story of my life. So you just got to put the time in and the energy and really hammer things down and develop a system or a framework that keeps the resistance out of the way. If you're finding yourself fighting stuff like a journal and like your hands getting tired or the keyboard and it's just not working your way, you got to shift it up, mix it up, and find something else that works. And you'll move forward. So anyway, with that being said, I've been rambling here for too long. Anyway, take care and thanks for watching. And I look forward to making another video here as I kind of work through a process here in my own thoughts. So let me know what you think, what works for you, what doesn't, and see you on the next video. Take care.